There's a fair amount of twist in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This family is definitely dysfunctional, but most families are, right?
Yes.
Was there any moment during the film or reading the script where you thought, oh, that could happen in my family?
Well, some variation of all of it, I think, is plausible for everybody. And this is just a very dynamically displayed variation on the situations that I think a lot of us deal with, not having all the facts straight about our family members and things of that nature. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I do. You brought the kids to Oklahoma?
Not the whole time, because school had just begun when we started rehearsal. So it's the first time I've ever made a movie and not had them there every day.
What was that like? You miss them?
Horrible.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of horrible.
So you...
Yeah, was I pretty clear about that?
Yeah, so how do you rectify that?
You know what?
Shoot during the summer?
I kind of thought it would be easier to say, okay, well, I've got a lot of work to do, and certainly my focus pulled in a very specific manner, and that will pass the time easily. And it didn't. I'm just super attached to those 4 people.
In your time in Oklahoma, I'm assuming that was a bonding experience for your castmates. It sounds like you guys hung out quite a bit.
It is definitely the upside of being on location and not knowing where anything is, because we would just all huddle together. We all lived in this funny little 2 rows of apartments, and so we were all right next to each other, and we would just, at the end of every workday, some of us or all of us get together to socialize, or more often than not get together to go over the next day's work and practice and rehearse and eat food together.
Yeah, I heard there was some potluck action happening.
Yeah, at Meryl's house. She's a good hostess.
So Meryl threw the parties.
Yeah. Well, and she also, she's just tenacious about her work ethic, and there was such an enormous amount of dialogue, and in some of these scenes where there's, 5 of us, 11 of us in a scene, you really have to go over that quite a bit. So she would have us all over, and we would eat and we would hang out for a little bit, and then we'd all sit down at the table and just go over it until we couldn't go over it anymore.
She tricked you. She said, come on over to my place for a party, and then before you know it, you were working.
I think she made it clear that the party was always going to turn into work, but yeah, it's a good trick.
As a producer, George was one of the bosses. What was it like with George being your boss?
It's kind of great. I mean, he is, all of our jokes aside, we're very fond of each other, and I think we have a great understanding of one another, and whenever I've had any kind of issue or problem to take to him, he's very understanding. He understands where I'm coming from and what it is that I'm struggling with, so he can really approach me as a person and a friend, but also be very clear about what the pragmatic role of producer is in all this. Super helpful.
Were you the teacher's pet? Was he your favorite?
I hope so. I hope so.
You can pull that card?
Let's ask around.
Working with Meryl, obviously she's at the top of the list as far as the actresses go. If you had to rate Meryl's performance, mommy performance, from a 0 to a mommy dearest, where would you?
Violet?
Yes.
Oh, I think she's the new gold standard for cruelty. I mean, sometimes it's so eerily subtle, like her kind of sneaking up on saying something awful.
Yeah, I started to believe that she was just flat out evil.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that on set?
Well, there were times I was astounded at the level that she would take it. It's so perfect and right on, but it just, like when she's saying to Juliet at the dinner table, you've just started to prove it yourself, dear, about how we don't get more attractive as we get older. It's just painful.